Hello, everyone, and welcome to Event Icons, where you get to chat with the icons of the event industry. I'm Brant Kruger, and with me is Tahira and Dean, and today we're going to be talking about when is furniture more than just furniture? When is it a chance to make a first impression? We're going to be talking all about the current and future state of event design, especially when it comes to furniture, being joined by three fantastic guests from CORT Furniture coming up right now on Event Icons.
It's Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, so you know what that means. It's time for another episode of #EventIcons.
Presented by Endless Events.
The show where you get to ask the icons of the events industry anything. Use the question panel on the webinar to submit your questions. Or you can hop on Twitter. Submit your questions with #EventIcons.
We'll be answering your questions live during the entire show.
Before we get started, the more people we have watching, the better conversation we can have. So please help share #EventIcons on Twitter and Facebook.
Just tell your friends to watch at www.event-icons.com.
Now, without any further delay, this is #EventIcons.
All right, everybody, let's get into it. We've got a fantastic group here today. Joining us today is Kelsey Rausch, who's the event designer and account executive for CORT Events and president of the Arizona chapter of ILEA, the International Live Events Association, for those of you playing the home game. Hello, Kelsey.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks for joining us. We're also being joined by Lilian Shen. Lilian is the CORT Events marketing manager based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Hi, Lilian.
Hello, hello. Great to be here.
And last but certainly not least, why do people always have to say that? Holly Larson. Holly Larson is the social media and marketing coordinator for CORT Events based also in Las Vegas.
Hi.
Hi, Holly. And with me is my co-host extraordinaire, Tahira and Dean. Hi, Tahira. How are things doing for you?
Hi, Brant. Things are really good here. So,
where are you globetrotting this week?
New York, right in the heart of Manhattan. So I actually went this morning to the 9/11 memorial. So my brain is full of how everything in the world can be impacted. So I'm excited for today's conversation about how we can change our events.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you take it away and get us started?
All right. So we're going to start off with the question we always start with was, what got you into the events industry? And we're going to do it in alphabetical order and start with Holly.
Oh, first this time. I actually started in my internship. I worked at a water park and it was a very small team. So we just did everything, just two-man team, getting everything situated and everything, which really got me into the industry. And so after my internship was done, I looked on LinkedIn and found CORT, which got me into the events industry.
And what would you be doing if you weren't in the events industry?
Theme parks.
Which really is like the events industry. Yeah. And experiences all rolled into one. All right, thanks. Welcome. Kelsey, same question.
Wow. Long story short, when I was in college, I didn't know who I wanted to be when I grew up, and I thought I wanted to be a chef, and I was working in a restaurant for a while because that was the requirement from the parents in order to pay for culinary school, and I started planning wine and beer dinners and hosting a bunch of events for the restaurants, and it just kind of all took off from there. And you know the saying, it's all about who you know, not what you know, and I made a connection in the industry, and I never looked back since.
There you go. What would you be doing?
Well, locally here at the Scottsdale Fairmont Princess, they have this gentleman, and his job is to hang out with these two Labrador retrievers in the lobby all day. And I think that would be the dream job, is to just hang out with the dogs at the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess all day.
That's a great job.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, right.
Tell us about you. What got you into the industry?
Me. Okay, so when I went to college, I was a part of a lot of different student organizations, and I just realized very quickly that my set of skills just happened to be geared towards event planning. You know, I always got all the responsibilities of the details of project management, all the logistics got put on my plate, and eventually turned into something that I took on in the professional world. And so when CORT was looking for a marketing manager, it was just the perfect mismatch of events.
Excellent. And if you weren't doing it and weren't hanging out with dogs, what would you be doing?
I would probably be in the tech startup world. That's where a lot of my professional background is. And I think I just have a thing for chaos. Events, we're all tech startups. It's all kind of the same. So I like that, sense of urgency, the planning, you have to have wear multiple hats kind of a thing. So that's probably where I'd end up.
It's so similar. It's true. I've sort of spent the last 5 years spending a lot of time with tech startups, and I totally agree. So, all right. So before I move on, I just want to remind people that they can drop their questions if they have them for you into the chat the chat on event-icons.com. So it's a new tool that's really great, actually super easy to use. So chat roll, event-icons.com. So you guys are more than just a coach in an event. So can you tell us how CORT sees their role in the events industry?
Well, CORT is a leader in the industry. I think everybody knows the name CORT. It's kind of become a household name as far as events go. We see the red logo everywhere. We're at all the conferences, things like that. And we know all the trends in furniture services. CORT was the first rental company to introduce a cloud-based 3D space planner on our website, which is free to our customers. And we have the largest selection of the highest quantities of furniture in rental companies. We know all the styles, the trends. We're always looking forward. We are essentially, I think, the leader.
Sums it up.
It's certainly one of the most recognizable names for sure. And I see you guys around all the time at trade shows. And, while there are definitely other rental companies that provide, furnishings for events, it seems to me that you guys are one of the only ones that specializes. Is that accurate, or is there more in the industry and I just don't see them?
I mean, I definitely think that we're not the only ones in the industry, but I think that we're the leaders of the industry, and we kind of set the tone as to where everything's going. We listen to our clients, and we hear what they have to say and what the needs are in the market. I know that our marketing manager is always off in Europe somewhere kind of figuring out what the next trends are going to be, and then brings them here to the US and kind of puts them into the marketplace.
And I think in addition to that, we're really known for the ability to scale. So, other companies within the same area will have, let's say, 500 of one piece, whereas we're able to deliver on 500 of one piece for 500 events, that sort of capacity. So I think that's one of the things that, really sets us in that leadership space, that we can accommodate such a national reach.
So one of the things that we wanted to kind of focus on today is how furniture and event design can really can relate to each other. That when we're working on how we're designing our event, how do we bring in this furniture to kind of intentionally design it in whatever we're trying to achieve. So if an event wanted to make people more comfortable and open to conversations, I mean, that's obviously one of the main reasons that we do events, right? Is to get, encourage that face-to-face interaction. What types of seating are going to be able to encourage people to talk to each other and really encourage that kind of face-to-face-ness, to coin a phrase?
I would say it's kind of the movable furniture. We have products like Marche swivel ottomans that you can turn to the person next to you, or you can turn to the person behind you and really engage in a conversation, or even our Swansons have that similar effect. And that really engages you in conversations. And then additionally, you want to have that power option because you're constantly connected to your cell phones, your laptops, taking notes. And that really helps you connect on another level just within the online community.
Recently at SEMA and NACE, two of the major event conferences, we did that exact kind of setup where we section off different parts of the meeting space. So the front will have, the soft seating or powered seating. The middle is more traditional with those, with like little end tables nearby. And at the very end, we actually have communal tables. So almost a bar high table to kind of create like a stadium effect. And then that way you're also face to face with other attendees and you're able to speak to each other throughout the actual presentation.
And I think ultimately the goal is we all want to be comfortable, right? We don't want to sit in some hard chairs that are going to make us not focused or want to be there and be thinking about what we're going to be having for dinner that night.
Yeah.
I've sat at those tables at SEMA and I love the whole layering of seating for those reasons. I think it's really good. So I also have a super pet peeve against 6 foot rounds, which where you can't talk across. So what, besides that very obvious choice, what are the kinds of seating that you're seeing that is actually inhibiting conversation? How do we get past that?
Theater seating, definitely. You're facing forward, you're not engaging with the people side to side, you're only looking at whoever is speaking, and it really inhibits you from seeing anything around you. You get very zoned in, you start looking at your phone because you have nothing else to look at.
And that traditional awkward, the stage is not in front of everybody, so then you have the awkward, I'm turning my head like this for like 45 minutes, which
exactly.
And those traditional banquet chairs are always so tight next to each other, and you're just kind of like squishing, and then people are obviously like trying to skip a seat every single time. You're just wasting that valuable real estate where you could be putting in something, you know, much more on trend and comfortable for your attendees.
Especially those ones where they literally lock together.
Yeah.
Like,
The edges.
and immediately, the first thing is people go to the back row and start unhooking them. So they can actually get a little bit of
That's the please don't move my chairs move.
You know, one of the things that I've noticed definitely over the last couple of years as I've been introduced to the new things that you guys have come out with is actually incorporating power charging into and it was one of those things that, like, in retrospect seemed so incredibly obvious. It's like, why haven't, you know, why did it take even just a couple of years for us to start figuring out that we needed outlets and power charging in our furniture? What do you have now? I mean, I'm assuming pretty much anything can have power into it, but specifically, what are some of the hot ticket items when it comes to these kind of charge your devices while you're sitting items?
My personal favorites and some of our newer items are actually the tech tablet chairs, which come in this beautiful gray, and they have a nice tablet or a removable one where you don't have to have the tablet included. And that has a USB, and it has a cord so that you can plug in your laptop too. So that's a great piece for educational or whatever. And then additionally, we have the Lexington table, which is a wooden one that has metal legs, and that one has charging in the middle that has the USBs and the plugins for your laptop as well. Two very different looks, but very useful for an event.
So to add on to that, Holly, I love those choices. The tech tablet on the bottom actually has a little shelf too for you to like slip your bag under so people aren't tripping. And that was like the best discovery when I was playing around in that chair. The Lexington table, I was gonna laugh because Brent, you mentioned that, and I'm sitting here with my work phone, my personal phone, my iPad's next to me, I'm on a laptop. So when you have that communal table and you have, 4, 6, whatever, how many people there are at that table, you can really spread out and still have that room, but stay connected at the same time.
And to your point, there really is charging in anything. We also have bars now that have charging ports in the top. So if you want to use them as like a reg desk or something at an event, or I don't know, maybe you're pouring yourself a drink and you just want to plug in your phone. I don't know.
Well, it's just, I mean, now we know the comfort comes from knowing that we can stay connected when we're at an event where we're away from home. And really, when you get to an event and you start doing anything that's social or using the mobile app all day or any of those things, of course we power down. And so I also think that the mobile charging is a great place that you always meet people when you're hanging out charging things. And that's why we go to meetings, is to talk to people. So
we got a couple things coming in from the chat and from Facebook. By the way, Selena says hello from Orlando. From Orlando. And the other question is, are you starting to experiment with the mat charging, is I think what they mean. So using the wireless charging and actually laying things down on top of the furniture in order to charge.
Yes, so we do have a couple of pieces that are compatible with the wireless charging. We won't talk about the new releases, but I will just drop a hint that there's more of those coming out in the beginning of 2019. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so all right, so it's a mini scoop. It's a mini scoop. So pay attention out there, folks. Coming up, you might be seeing more in the way of wireless charging when it comes to CORT.
Oh, do you have any others, Brant, that we want to ask?
No, those are the only two that are in right now, but it's a good time to remind folks to go ahead and type in your questions. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, or if you're joining us on event-icons.com, you can enter the chat right there while you're watching. So you don't have to have a separate window open or anything like that. You can have the screen open. You can have the chat going. Drop your questions right in there, and we'll get them to our guests right away.
So now you mentioned, shopping in Italy, of course, which is always fun. So and obviously, absolutely the place where we need to be if we're seeing where design trends are going with furniture. So what is trending right now, globally, nationally, regionally? What's going on out there?
Yeah, definitely. Mid-century is absolutely on fire right now. We love that look, anything that's just very modern, contemporary looking. But one of the main things that's coming out right now is that urban industrial look. So like the Lexington tables that Holly just mentioned with the wood top, but the metal black base, it's that really kind of like rustic industrial mix that people are just loving, especially this season. As far as colors go, I think we see it everywhere. It's the grays, the blues, that kind of like warm gray, and also the kind of slate look. It's just very neutral, and it's, it accommodates every kind of theme.
Well, when we have Pantone doing things like making the color of the year ultraviolet, how are we supposed to translate that to furniture exactly? So, there's some cool projection tables, but
I was not consulted.
It'd be great to see what they come up with next year and how that translates. So what else are Holly and Kelsey, what are you guys seeing out there in trends?
I think a lot of it, what I see is mixed materials. So we're putting the metals with like the marble or whatever it may be. Additionally, they're adding metallics, like I said, with them. There's like a Hayworth that we have that you can put marble with, and that just creates a whole bunch of different mixed materials. And I think velvet is really coming back. I mean, you see it in all the girls' dresses that crush velvet. We have a couple different pillows that have that kind of style. And then the last thing that I personally am just a huge fan of is channel stitching. I think it's making this huge comeback. We have Beverly benches that come in that channel stitching, and it creates this beautiful line. It makes it look clean, but at the same time, we're adding colors to that channel stitching, which makes that pop too. So you're just getting so much dynamic view, and you're really looking. It's just fun.
Nice.
And I'm seeing that the way to bring in color too is to pop it with an accent. To Lillian's point, all the grays and warm tones and things like that are in style for the couches. But when we add the color via like a pillow or an ottoman or something like that, it's giving that life to your furniture design, but it's not being overly done and still keeping that industrial chic look.
So let's just, while we're on the subject of pillows, let's just talk about pillows. So, we've seen logoed pillows. How can you use that furniture to help convey a brand message?
Well, branding is absolutely huge right now. I mean, who doesn't love talking about themselves, especially in the corporate world? And what better way to do it than to brand your logo on everything? So CORT literally has made it available to brand everything. We can brand pillows. We can brand your coffee table. We can brand your cocktail table, your bar. We have hedge walls. You want to brand the wall, we can do that. Literally anything and everything. And as far as pillows go, I think the cool thing too, and the ottomans, we have the slip covers for those, is you don't only have to use it for your company logo. If you have a very unique design, like say something like with palm trees or polka dots or whatever it is, we can actually take that and put that into our pillows as well and create something custom for your event. So you have something unique that's not out there that anybody else has.
So back in July this year, every quarter CORT hosts a VIP event, and the last one in July was in New York, and our theme was A Night in Cannes. So it was very much inspired by the south of France, this like classic Mediterranean feel, and we went nuts with the branding. It was pretty much near our initial launch of it. So yeah, we had the fabric slip covers, we had lighted columns and bars graphics. We even had custom drapes, like creating these beautiful cabanas to really give that tropical beachside feel. So we had like these gorgeous marble graphics mixed in with watercolor style floral. So it really, that capability really allows the client to take whatever vision they have and make it their own. So, you can utilize the actual furniture selection for colors and styles, but as far as the full mood and the full theme, that's really where it gives that extra oomph.
I think it's worth emphasizing too that I think a lot of folks think of you as being exclusively rental. Hey, let's just look through a catalog and say I want that, and that. The fact that you offer these kinds of customizable options, I think sometimes gets lost. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody caught that. far as what it is that you guys do. How do you guys try and keep up? When you're looking at all of these trends that you were just talking about, and you kind of rifled through a bunch of them. How do you keep up with that? I mean, as a company, keeping track of what's hot and what's not on these trends has to be difficult.
Oh, it's nonstop. So every year, throughout the year, we attend all the major furniture markets, whether it's in the US nationally or in Europe. So Kevin Dana, he's our executive director for product development and marketing. He goes to Italy, to Milan every single year to really stay ahead of the trends and to figure out, where the overall furniture market is, to kind of predict those upcoming trends years and years out for the events industry. So many of the current trends are obviously towards flexibility, like we've been talking about with the meetings, and it just mirrored in furniture markets, whether it's retail, home, events, whatever it may be.
We also listen to our client base as well, the people that we work with. For example, the tech tablet chair. It was an idea that our internal team had, but we listened to what it was our people wanted and developed it and redeveloped it based on the feedback that we were getting from our consumers.
It's fantastic that you guys have the opportunity to listen to your customers too. So now, okay, so let's talk about one of the great things, of course, that we all thought would never go away was white on white on white on white furniture. So, but what are those trends that will never die? Is there anything that becomes timeless?
I guess like you said, white on white on white. That's a clean look, especially, where I'm from, I'm in Arizona, so people love that clean look because people kind of put us down with that cow hoedown kind of Western thing, and we're not actually like that, go figure. But solids and things like that, I don't know if Lillian or Polly have anything to add.
I think solid colors. I think solid colors is a fair enough assessment, because whether that be a solid black or solid white, or you're going even with solid grays, that's the key trend that's going to keep staying, is having those monochromatic looks at your events and at certain points.
And when it comes to patterns, the more niche styles, it's fashion, it's furniture, it's all cyclical. So, essentially nothing really ever goes away. We're seeing the 70s and 80s come back now. Even in fashion, we're seeing the 90s, which means in furniture, that'll probably come back soon. So it really is all cyclical in a way.
Like you said, it's that fashion trend, right? So, but we're always going to buy white t-shirts. It's true. So one of the things that you're always going to hear is, it's too expensive. So we hear about many aspects of our programs, and often including that non-venue provided seating. So talk to us a little bit about, how you're addressing some of those challenges, and also what that real value is in providing some mixed seating.
Well, when attendees are more comfortable, they're more likely to be tuned into a meeting or an event. Providing spaces that address various elements of an event is really crucial. There should be a space for casual connection, for networking, for accidental communication and conversation. And then, of course, the more structured areas, your meeting halls.
So it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with, our recent arrangements at SEMA and ACE and a lot of the other major, ILEA and upcoming and, whatnot, is really sectioning out your meeting space to accommodate each of these different types of attendees. Some people are very traditional where they want to sit there with a notepad and pen or pencil and take notes on a table. Others want to be connected. Others want to be able to discuss and have that impromptu conversation like Holly just mentioned. So, but ultimately, it's like what we keep saying, it's comfortability. No matter where they are in any of these sections, no matter how they work, that's what we want them to do. So when you plan out these different segments, that's the number one priority to keep in mind. If someone's distracted, shifting around, trying to unlock their chair from the banquet chair next to them, they're not going to be listening to the event, or they're going to be shifting around trying to get out.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So I think, there's that. So, one of the planners in the chat said, what are some ways of achieving new and fresh seating on a tight budget? So is that something that you can help them with?
Definitely. There's different colors to, like, if you're looking for a more inexpensive chair, we have chairs that come in green, just stackable chairs that come in green, and looking for just something that looks a little bit different than you would normally look for. I think that's the difference between your event when you have the house chairs and your event when you have court furniture. You're having that extra little pizzazz to your event because you don't look like everything else. And so adding a stackable green chair rather than a, house chair with the mesh seating that matches the floor, it's just a huge difference.
And also, if you think a little bit outside the box and utilize, let's say, like the Beverly Ottomans, which are essentially a bench, yes, you're getting one unit, but you're seating multiple people on that. So figuring out how to reconfigure the space. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, everyone is individualized in their own space, but you're able to share a more communal area. It minimizes the quantity per se that you have to cover, but you can accommodate the same amount of attendees.
Which is obviously, comes down to numbers, doesn't it? So
yep. I try to squeeze everyone in a little room.
So one of the fun things that we get to do on this show is deep dive a little bit into some of the stuff that people don't necessarily think about all the time. So for you guys, every day is moving day, right? You're moving stuff around all the time. So can you give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain as far as what that looks like from a logistics standpoint? How are you guys able to handle the sheer volume of rentals that you guys have and the amount of furniture that you have?
Kelsey, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. With CORT, we talked about in the beginning about how big of a company we are. We have 16 warehouses nationwide with a national rolling inventory. And for those of you that don't know what a national rolling inventory is, it means we're constantly moving our furniture from one warehouse to another in order to accommodate these events of such large sizes, especially in places like the Las Vegas market, the New York market, things like that. There's a lot that happens internally with our ops department, communication-wise, to make sure all this happens. But our processes of scanning furniture in, out, we know where everything is. We're able to track it. We have some awesome new technology that we're rolling out. We just learned about this past year that's going to make our scanning capabilities that much greater. You have to stay ahead with the technology. And then I think ultimately it boils down to working with our clients and knowing who our clients are. We take the time out of our days to come figure out what their processes are, what works for them, because no one's the same. And the way that everybody is structured is completely different. And I think it's important that we have an amazing team that knows who each and every person is and what it is that they need to make their event a success.
At the end of the day, as big of a company as we are and as wide of a reach as we have, the flawless communication between our sales team and our operations is just seamless. And it really allows us to, have that personal touch on it, despite having this massive, large volume going around at all times. And needless to say, our operations teams in each district are just absolutely phenomenal. So, every single piece of furniture, no matter what, gets inspected from top to bottom. It gets hand packaged. When you get to the event, they're the ones that are hand placing it according to these space plans. So really, when it comes to the client, they're hands off. Once the order is in, they just have to, if they have any changes, be there to monitor. But, operations, the team really handles it. It's completely white glove. It's just amazing.
So I've never once heard anybody say, and there's communication between sales and operations is flawless.
It really is like that every time. It's just, all right, do we have this? Yes. All right, let's go. And it's just there. The ball's rolling.
Our operations team is some of the best people I've ever met. They're always communicating to me, hey, I don't have this furniture, but can I get it in for you this way? And if not, what do you want? How can I make it work for you? They're always trying to make it work. And working in events is sometimes really frustrating when it comes to, all the other steps. So having a furniture team that really wants to make your event work just is so helpful.
I will say though, Sorry, if you saw the sheer volume of emails that happens in one day behind the scenes between sales and ops, you would understand. But they definitely over-communicate with us, and we over-communicate with them if there is such thing, and it makes everything go really, really smoothly.
I feel like you guys need to watch the episode on productivity tools, because there's a really good EventIcons episode about different tools besides email. So.
I know that you know Will and Slacks. Will makes us use that for ILEA. Yeah, no, it's helpful for sure. So it's it's good. Email, of course, is nice and traceable, and there's lots of good reasons to use it. So I'm never gonna say email's going away. It's not. So, but that's fantastic, and it really is. As a event producer, I am so reliant on knowing that, whether it's my furniture or my audiovisual or my food and beverage, that once I've sort of given those marching orders, that there's all of these other people who then need to make it happen. I remember the last event I worked on, trying to explain to, an executive that the reason that we could do this and have it happen in an actually unreasonable amount of time was because there was more than 400 people on site making sure that everything was happening. And, just like the look in their eyes was like, what? But, that is the reality. It's not just one person who does anything. And communication really is the most important thing that we have. And also as a producer, I know how many changes you get made and sometimes it's like 17 changes in literally over 2 pieces of furniture, and you kind of want to poke your eyes out. Let's get real. Because sometimes it would be nice just to go from 1 to 2, like just give me your first order and your last order, but that's not the way that it ever works. And so it does take all of that juggling. So I think that's incredible that you have 16 warehouses and also those great processes that make sure that everything happens. So I feel happy about this kind of information.
I want to, at the risk of stomping on a question I think you were planning on bringing up later to hear, I think it's important to stop a moment there and talk about the maintenance. That's one of the big issues that comes up in AV all the time. So that's in my world is, the fact that these things, like you said, have to be inspected before they go out. They have to be inspected when they come back. They have to be repaired if there's a stitch or, a heel goes through something or a wine gets spilled on something. There's a lot of maintenance that goes into play when you're dealing with any kind of hard goods like this. So that has a lot to do with what, like I said, at the risk of what you were wanting to talk about here, is the cost that's involved in this. Like a lot of times when people look at the cost, go, well, I could, buy it for almost that, and I think one of the biggest things that they don't take into account is this idea of maintenance and being, well, yes, but now you have to ship it. You have to be responsible for it. You have to make sure that before you use it again, it's been cleaned up. Do you have anything to add just as far as the maintenance side goes? Because I think that's really one of the things that's undervalued when we talk about rental furniture.
Well, if you saw our repair shop based in Las Vegas, you would be extremely impressed. It's a whole section of its own. You can't go out in there unless you have like glasses and a hard hat on, because there's a full production happening as far as repairs go. At the end of the day, it is rentals. Things happen, things break, especially, people are kind of moving things around on site. So we realize that and we factor that into our business. And we do make sure that we go through everything. Everything, once it gets cleaned, gets wrapped and ready to get put back on the shelf. And then everything gets stickered and signed by who did it. So there's accountability for it as well. And I think ultimately, we really, really value that everything goes out perfectly. And if it doesn't, we have some extras on hand in order to replace it and make sure we can fix that in time.
I've actually, one of my first events that I was at with CORT is, we were doing delivery, something got dropped off, and one of the little legs were just a little bit chipped. Immediately, our production manager went right back to the warehouse and brought another one. And that's really the kind of service that you want. And yeah, it's just unmatched. That warehouse, the repair shop is amazing. It really is. Every time Holly and I walk by through the warehouse, we're just kind of like, what are they doing in there? But yeah, it's a well-oiled machine.
So let's talk a little bit about, because of course, every planner has a budget. Every event has a budget. Obviously, they vary. So what are some of the things that you are really seeing where, you can really help people be on trend, but also make their events just a little more and useful, really? So I'm trying to think of the right word, but to me, when we have an event, it's all about creating conversations. That's with the value that you get from events is those face-to-face experiences, and when we can find ways to help people do that. And you've mentioned quite a few, but again, I think when people start to listen to things about furniture, they think, oh, I can't do that. So how can they do that?
We definitely get people coming to us with a wide range of budgets, and kind of to what we were talking about earlier, you get what you pay for. We do cater to a certain market. We're not for everybody. However, we want to try to help as many people as we can, and we definitely have something in a variety of price ranges. We have very high-end couches, and then we have, things like the ottomans, which is a great substitute to have a conversational space without having to blow your budget on a couch. So I think it's really about working with your representative on your budget. And my favorite question, and this should be on your shit that event planners say, maybe it has been, is, I don't have a budget, or I don't know what my budget is. Everyone always has a budget. There's always a bottom line number. So it's getting you to where that number is. And it's generally me picking and prying and pulling the right questions out in order to understand what it is your needs are, where your bottom line is, and then finding what we have that's suitable within that bottom line and still makes your event a success.
Absolutely. We did have, I missed a joke, by the way, that came in on Facebook. So Nick Borelli pointed out the fact that we had pillow talk on EventIcons. So, yeah, speaking of shit, that's fine to say. So thanks, Nick. Sorry I missed that earlier. We've got some folks in the chat just agreeing and nodding and doing the virtual snaps and saying that we had some good points regarding the maintenance and things like that. What about venues? Are you guys partnering with any venues at this time? Is there any kind of benefit to the planners?
We definitely partner with venues in the sense that sometimes venues want to build packages that they can offer people coming in. So we'll build custom packages, and that's definitely, based on the venue, based on the regional area, what caters to that market. We work in, small venues from 50 people. We work at venues for 750,000 people, like the Waste Management Phoenix Open Golf Tournament that we do every year. So we literally can do anything of any size. It's just working with that particular venue and figuring out what works for them. And also some venues have very particular guidelines that we have to follow as to what type of furniture could be in there. I know that we have markets that require that our furniture is, what is the word, flame resistant or whatever, things like that. You get the markets now that have the marijuana, so we're having to develop new furniture that can withstand the weed smoke. So we literally work in every type of venue. It's just catering to the individual markets and figuring out what their individual needs are.
So the outdoor events, because we love outdoor events. So what's going on? What are we seeing for outdoor events?
Yeah, definitely. So, one of the things, it's kind of a trick answer. With outdoor events, what we're seeing is a lot of fluidity between the indoors and outdoors. So, being able to transition your attendees from the inside to outside without that abrupt change in your style, your design, and things like that. So, furniture pieces that are able to accommodate both indoors and the outdoor weather, whatever it may be, just withstanding all the elements, is really hot right now. Incorporating greenery into designs. So even when you're doing these indoor, let's say you have an indoor venue, if you want to create that outdoor look, you can bring in like hedges or, palms, whatever it may be, and just really bring that feel inside to, have all the goodness of the outdoors without the weather. And especially, with the wood facades, things like that, you really get to create that kind of natural feel.
And I think too, when you're outdoors, you can get kind of lost in an outdoor space with it maybe being a big field or something like that. It's figuring out how to create those individual kind of comfortable, I feel like I can, relax here kind of spaces. So using things like wall dividers, or Lillian mentioned the hedges, to kind of create that more intimate feel within a larger space to kind of pull that in.
I think that's really critical, is this whole idea of how do we create those smaller connection spaces. You might have 10,000 people at your event, but you can still only talk to 5 at a time. So I think that you're right. There's a book by Dr. Paul Rad that's all about seating. And his thing is, if you have a straight row, you don't have a meeting. When you talked about theater seating. And so there's some really great things in there. And I do think that the things like the communal tables, where you have that smaller distance between people, really allows those conversations as well. Again, as soon as we start to get too big, it's impossible to have that conversation. Kind of the same with couches. Sometimes they're not the best option because you're a little bit too comfortable. And so you're then really only talking sort of one person beside you, which sometimes can be fabulous. But if you're really there to, let's call it networking, sometimes getting too comfortable isn't always a good thing. So, but also where things like the bar height pedestal tables are great, because people can really move around and have those conversations, and you don't feel bad about moving around if you're already standing up. Whereas once you kind of settle into a chair, you think, oh, maybe I shouldn't leave these people. Or what's happening with bars? What's going on out there? What are the things that you're seeing that are kind of tying together furniture and cocktail trends?
We love our bars.
We really do.
Yeah.
Okay, who doesn't love a bar? We all know it comes from it.
So I know Kelsey mentioned this earlier, even with bars, we're adding power to that. So always staying connected, being able to have that choice of a standard, a traditional rectangular bar, or the curved bars, or whatever different designs. All of ours, for instance, are again brandable. So, we're going full circle on all of these trends we keep talking about, but it really is a centerpiece. So, whether you want to use the bar for the standard use of a bar or as a registration table, whatever may be, it really is such a versatile piece. And with so many different options of style and whatnot, it's just a classic.
And with all of our bars too, we make sure to have what we call the wet and the dry version, where we have a built-in bus tub so that bartenders can use that to make them more accessible, or the dry version typically is used more as like the registration desk. And then the other trend that we're seeing with bars is light up bars with the glow kind of feature on it. That way people can customize the colors. If you want to go Technicolor, we can go Technicolor. Or if you say our court and your color's red, we can make your bar red. That way we're customizing this piece of furniture for you and making it a focal point. Because like we said just a minute ago, who doesn't love a bar, and who doesn't want to find the bar when they first get to an event? Because I know that that's the first thing I'm looking for. So you might as well light the thing up and put it in part of the room.
I think that's a really good point about, making things easy to find as well. So what have you got that's tall? Are you seeing anything being incorporated that is also helping people with, that wayfinding to the good time?
Greenery, I think, is a really big one right now. We have our 7-foot hedges and our 7-foot columns, and any of the tall greenery. I mean, that's an eye-catching piece that you're like, oh, that's pretty. And then we've seen people do really fun things with our greenery, where they hang, a logo on it, or they put flowers in it, or whatever it may be. So you're kind of following those to your bar or the stage or whatever may be the big focal point. But that greenery kind of helps lead you in that direction, gives you the leading lines that you see in photos and things like that, that really help you see, oh, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be going. I mean, you really can make a little maze if you want to, Alice in Wonderland style.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
And even something a little less subtle than greenery, we have the Luna columns. So they're just like, 7 foot, 8 foot, or 7, I can't remember the exact dimensions. There's 3 different levels. So you can really pair them up into these funky designs, but it basically just, you can use them to, again, like the greenery columns, just kind of lead a path. And those are brandable. So essentially what you could do is even get graphics printed that have, hey, you know what? this is this way, and, you know, have arrows pointing in different directions to actually serve as that kind of street sign.
Which I think is, yeah, it's good when you can help people just, you know, there's having something that's basically at a 4-foot level doesn't help anybody because we're all taller than that. So,
Yeah.
So somebody asked, Brant, you said the name of the book. So Dr. Paul Rad, he's got a couple of books. It's thrival.com. So THRIVAL. The specific book, though, is called Seating Matters, State-of-the-Art Seating Arrangements. And it really, it's more than 100 pages of different ways that you can really utilize seating to create conversations. So it's kind of the best friend of the furniture companies, I think, because it really is about not having those straight rows and 6-foot rounds and things that really inhibit conversation. Because it is, you know, it kind of ties it all together, right? So if we look at all the things that we've looked at with furniture today, it's, you know, how can you create an experience? How can you use furniture to do that? So how can, from the entry point where you've maybe got some great wayfinding and registration desks that don't feel like a typical registration desk where somebody's, you know, standing behind a 6-foot table with lots of badges spread out, which is my least favorite welcome experience. But to do something that is a lot warmer. You know, I've even done things where we've had, you know, someone behind the registration desk is doing sort of the administration of it, but there's actually somebody standing in front as if you're at a really nice retail store handing you your badge and making that experience just a bit more personal. And, you know, the light up and all of those colors makes it just feel like I've arrived somewhere. And I think that we can really use furniture like you have to create that first sense of arrival that I am now somewhere that's more interesting than I was before, which is really fundamentally what we should be doing with that. And then really creating those other spaces where people can have, you know, if it's in a session room, that tiered seating. I even have done a lot of things where doing pedestal tables or communal tables at the back, but even just putting in some benches at the back for those people who just want to come in. There's always those people who just want to float in and out of sessions. So why not make it easy for them to do that? Why do we punish them? You know, we don't give them anywhere to stand, so we move that theater row right to the very back. And, you know, so why not make it just a little bit friendlier? You know, and then all the branding and trend, you know, all the branding that you can do, again, just really that sense of place, you know, here I am. And it can be as subtle for some clients as the channel stitching being in their color to branded slip covers and pillows and all those kinds of things. So I think that, you know, the opportunities that we have with furniture are immense. And we just need to kind of get past that. But it's too expensive because you don't necessarily need to put it everywhere, but you do need to use it thoughtfully, I think, and to really bring in those elements that are going to really create that pow for people. So you guys have given us so many really good ideas today of ways we can do that I'm just like, no, I'm on fire with ideas. Thank you very much.
One thing really quickly, you know, rows may not always be, you know, your worst enemy. I think Holly mentioned one of our chairs earlier, the Swanson chair. We've had clients, you know, take Swanson chairs and just line up in theater seating. But the thing is, they move very easily. They rotate. And so, you know, we've had clients where they had to have these impromptu breakout sessions. All they had to do was just turn around. And all of a sudden you're in a pod, and then you can turn right back. You're back in theater seating. So it's not always terrible. It just really depends on the piece that you're using to furnish those rows.
Well, as always, the hour goes too fast. We're starting to have to wind down as we get towards the top of the hour. Also, guest 2570 will be sure to put Tahira's book reference in the show notes. So if you come back, you'll be able to check that out on the blog. We'll have all of the recommendations that are given. So last chance for everyone in the chat to get their questions in here. In the meantime, one of the things we talked about, making sure that furniture could withstand the weed, and making sure that the furniture could withstand being out outside. What would, I don't even know if you guys would know the answer to this. Maybe you've heard stories, but what would you say the most unique location that you guys have sent furniture to has been? What would be, oh wow, really? That's where they put that? Any of those in the stories around the office?
Well, I mean, back to kind of what, I hate to keep going back to this. I'm sorry, Kevin, Dana. But I know that we've done a lot of the 420 festivals. That's just, you know, a very unique thing that's starting to pop up around the market. It's not in my market yet, so I don't know a ton on the topic yet, but I know that it is something that internally we are considering. I personally deal with the Waste Management Phoenix Open Golf Tournament every year, and that is a show where we do 12,000 pieces of furniture for a 1-week event, and it's all throughout the whole golf course. So there's things that I'm considering, like the birds that hang out on the lakes and where they're going to poop at night. And is Mother Nature going to come in with one of those crazy storms at night if I put something outdoors? So there's always something that we have to consider. All the plan B, C, D's, and E's when we're doing furniture. And I think that we definitely have product that covers all of those needs. It's just, what are those needs, and can we help you get there?
Either you guys have any unusual locations to add in?
I can't think of.
Most of my locations that I go to are pretty normal.
So
Yeah,
it's probably
marketing is pretty.
Marketing is very tame.
Yeah,
I've heard like weird stories, but I'm like, nah.
well, that's okay. We can start to go into our we usually bookend the show, right? We've got the easy ones at the beginning, we got the easy ones at the end. We did have the Dana was wondering from the chat, is Court going to be at IMEX?
Yes,
absolutely.
Excellent.
We will all be there, actually. Everybody on this.
Come find us.
And you'll have product there to show off?
Yes, we'll have a whole booth.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So yes, they'll all be there. Great. So there you go, Dana. And we'll remind you at the end of the show, but we'll be broadcasting live as well. All right. So closing it out. We'll start with who do we start with at the beginning? We
started with me.
Okay.
You went alphabetical.
Well, we'll go eeny, meeny, miny, mo this time. So Holly, it's been decided scientifically, because you're in the top left corner of my screen. If you could pick only one, what is your one tip you have for event planners? It does not have to be specific to furniture, but what would be your one tip?
I would say I'm going to go furniture because that's what I know. I would say use your event, like we have our account executives and they're really, really useful tools. And so reach out to them because they're willing to put together floor plans for you. They have tools that they're willing to share with you. And they really know what they're doing. They know the right questions to ask. They know what looks best together. So utilize that tool. Utilize the people that know what they're talking about. Because if you're like, oh, like I really want to include this furniture, but I'm just not sure what, and I don't feel confident, they are. So use the people that know what they're doing.
And by the way, Dana says that they're not Kevin Dana and hope that they didn't scare you.
For a split second, that's actually what
I thought that too.
All right. All right, Lillian, how about you? If you could pick, what's your one tip for event planners?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges for event planners is thinking too within the box. So I would say, don't be afraid to think outside the box. Really let your inspiration guide you, and think as crazy as you can, because you can always start here and then, like Holly said, whittle it down to what will actually fit within your budget, your space, your theme, whatever it may be. But if you really embrace that inspiration, you'll be able to find something to help execute on that. Whether you as a planner or as a client, it's same advice across the board.
All right. And Kelsey, you're up.
I think my tip would be to, anytime that you're doing any sort of rentals, and for me specifically furniture, pick a provider that you can trust to deliver on what it is that you're asking for. Because like we were talking about before, you get what you pay for. So if you can't trust them and it may be a little bit cheaper, you might not be getting what it is you had in mind at the end of the day. And I think too, as well, when we're talking about budgets, grow the budget over time. So you can start by maybe adding, a couple pieces of furniture the first year. There's no going backwards in events. We're always moving forward. So then the next year you can add a few more pieces as well. And when you're doing that with someone that you can trust, you know that they're going to keep executing into the way that you want every single time.
There you be. Okay. All right. So we're going to go reverse order now. So starting with you, Kelsey, any cool resources you want to share? Websites, blogs, books, gadgets? Again, does not have to be furniture related. Could be a life hack of some kind, something that's working for you in your life. Any resources you want to share?
Well, I mean, I'll just keep going back to furniture. Sorry. We have a really
Unacceptable.
awesome.
We're not here to talk about furniture. We're here to no, go ahead.
I would say social tables. Social tables has been an absolute lifesaver to, I think, every event planner out there. CORT offers it for free on our website at courtevents.com. It's a 2D and 3D planning, space planning tool for events. It has preloaded venue spaces. You can create your own venue space, and all of our products and many other products are on there. And you can actually see how it'll fit into a space in real time.
All right, Lillian.
Sure. So for us internally, we use this platform called Libres, but I think just generally speaking, whatever photo management, event management tool that you may have. But for us, it's our saving grace. We use it to track every single event photo, every studio shot, everything. And what it does is it allows marketing and sales to really create these custom, we call them light boxes for, whether it's clients or internal needs, just to help visualize it. So essentially at any second of the day, we can create these custom inspiration boards. And for someone like me that's very, very visual, I need it. Because if you just describe, a space, a combination of pieces to me, I'm just gonna sit here and have no idea what you just told me. But if you show me a combination of images, then I'm good to go and we can get that ball rolling. So just organization as far as imagery goes, and being able to have that flexibility of creating these inspiration boards.
Very nice. And Holly.
I would say that a lot of people tell me they have the problem of, I don't know where to get the inspiration from. So for me, that inspiration comes from your social media. So using your Instagram and your Facebook and your Pinterest. But additionally, they have sources that you wouldn't normally think to use that are more traditionally for your home furnishings, like House, I think is a really good resource. And additionally, I would also include Wayfair, because those are the kind of things that you can be like, hey, I like what this looks like. How can CORT help me create something that looks like this in a rental environment? Because a lot of the times you're like, I want that in my house. How do I get that on the show floor or in the event? I think all the time I'm like, I really like that, man, I wish. And then, that's where we get our ideas from.
Okay.
Not only ideas, but also that sense of comfort. That, we want to walk into environments that are sort of aspirational. And I can't wait to see what you guys create on the show floor at IMEX, one of my favorite shows, just because I think that is, when we're looking for that, we go to shows to be inspired and to really think about what we can do, what we can bring in and what we can add. And so I am really excited to see what you guys bring there. Thank you.
Yay.
We'll see you guys all there.
All right. So, Holly Larson, you are the social media marketing coordinator for CORT Events. Lilian Shen, the events marketing manager for CORT, and Kelsey Rausch, the event designer and account executive for CORT. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So, Kelsey, I don't know if you're the right one to ask about this, maybe probably all of you, but where can we find out more about CORT and what you guys are up to?
You can find us at courtevents.com. You can also follow us on social media. I believe our handles, Holly, are CORT Events.
All at CORT
everything.
Events.
We keep it simple.
Super easy to find.
At CORT Events, at CORT Events, at CORT Events. Great. Well, thank you guys again. Tahira, thank you for joining me, being my co-host and cohort in this endeavor. And she's muted.
Anytime. Well, sort of anytime. I might be, busy in another country next week. We'll see.
Get your gallivanting. You gallivant a lot, I've noticed.
I've been gallivanting. If you need a life hack for me, I can tell you how to pack in a carry-on for 32 days on the road.
Wow, that's a lot of days.
Where can people find out more about what you're up to and where you're gallivanting to?
intentionaleventdesign.ca.
Nice. And I'm Brant Kruger, BrantKruger.com. We want to remind everybody that we're going to be broadcasting live from IMEX on the show floor at the IMEX studio Wednesday, October 17th at our normal time. So that's 5 p.m. Eastern, which we're pretty sure is 2 p.m. local time there in Las Vegas at the time, because we haven't done any of the daylight savings or any of that kind of stuff. So hope you can stop by and join us live. We're going to have all of our crazy friends and guests coming up and joining us just like we've done at other live events. It's always a blast. So please do stop by by and say hi. If you can't be there, tune in and join us live as always at event-icons.com. As we record this show live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, you can watch behind the scenes on Facebook Live. You can also watch us live on event-icons.com. We release the show otherwise the following Tuesday on iTunes, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. But again, the best way to join us live is, if you haven't heard it enough already, event-icons.com, where you can watch us, you can participate in the chat, and you can get straight into the brains of the event icons that join us on the show every week by getting your chat questions answered there.
Hello, everyone.
We want to know what you think, Twitter.
I just wanted to send you a video.
Somebody's watching that right now. we hear Alex. At least it sounds like Alex. Best way to join us live. We want to know what you think. Join us on Twitter using hashtag EventIcons. Join the EventIcons Facebook group. Let us know what icons you want to see on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Barry, Celine, Reed, Dana, Nick, Dana, everyone that was joining us on the chat and join us here live. Thanks to our wonderful guests, and we'll see you next time on Event Icons.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing episode of Hashtag EventIcons. To catch the transcription and all of the resources mentioned, head to www.helloendless.com/blog. This week's episode will be posted and available by next Tuesday. Also, let us know what you thought about this week's episode. Share your biggest takeaway.
And join the social conversation. Sponsored by Little Bird Told Media.
Just tag your post with hashtag EventIcons. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on hashtag EventIcons.